In the previous video, we looked at the assumptions held by modern academic scholarship regarding the date of the events of the Exodus, namely that they took place in the 13th century before Christ, specifically during the reign of Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great. We also briefly examined the methods used by scholars to date pieces of evidence of a given event. Before we examine the competing theories regarding the date of the Exodus, there is some important background information that must be understood in order to properly interpret the historical record, both from the Bible and ancient Egypt. Ancient Egyptian history is composed of periods called kingdoms. These kingdoms represent times in Egypt when the nation was united under a single ruler, a single pharaoh, or at least a single pharaonic house. There are three major kingdoms recognized by historians: the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. Each of these kingdoms are separated by what are today referred to as intermediate periods. Intermediate periods are times in Egypt when the nation was divided between competing rulers. Usually, these divisions occurred across northern and southern boundaries, and they are typically the result of a power vacuum and economic instability. The kingdom and intermediate periods are arranged around the rule of particular royal dynasties in Egypt. The Old Kingdom is the rule of dynasties 3 through 6. This is the time period of many of Egypt's signature monuments, such as the Pyramids of Giza and the Great Sphinx. The Middle Kingdom is the rule of dynasties 11 through 13. Finally, the New Kingdom is the rule of dynasties 18 through 20. The time of King Tut, Ramses the Great, and most of what we think of as distinctly ancient Egyptian. The dynasties which ruled during the intermediate periods usually ruled in overlapping or parallel fashion from different portions of Egyptian territory. There are also periods before and after these, referred to specifically as the early dynastic period and the late period. The ancient world did not use absolute systems of dating like we do today. All dating systems back then were relative, usually to whoever the ruling king or emperor was at the time. This means that most of the dates preserved in the historical record are specific to ancient Egypt itself. Scholars are therefore presented with the challenge to accurately construct a record of Egyptian history, and then to apply that history to an absolute dating scheme. Scholars' attempts to do this have resulted in a few competing chronologies, variously referred to as high, middle, and low chronologies, with differences ranging from 5 to 50 years between them in the time periods we are concerned with. I am not in a position to speak on which of these chronological interpretations is most accurate. In general, though, I think it's permissible to allow a limited amount of flexibility when we attempt to date a specific event. The majority of the debate surrounding the date of the Exodus concerns the New Kingdom, specifically dynasties 18 and 19. There is also a minor opinion that suggests the proper time period of Egyptian history for the Exodus is the Middle Kingdom, not the New Kingdom. We will look at each of these interpretations individually. Before we do so, though, we must consider the data the Bible gives regarding the date of the Exodus. We will not attempt to interpret this data just yet. We will do that when we consider each interpretation. The only passage of Scripture that gives a specific date for the Exodus is 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 1, which reads, "It came about in the 480th year after the sons of Israel came out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziv, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house of the Lord." This verse states that Solomon began constructing the temple in Jerusalem during his 4th regnal year, which was 480 years after, quote, "the sons of Israel came out of the land of Egypt," the time of the Exodus. While this is the only passage that overtly gives a date, it is not the only passage that needs to be considered. In Judges chapter 11, verse 26, Jephthah is recorded as saying, "While Israel lived in Heshbon and its villages, and in Aroer and its villages, and in all the cities that are on the banks of the Arnon, 300 years, why did you not recover them within that time?" According to Jephthah's testimony, it appears Israel had been living in the Promised Land for 300 years at the time he gave his speech. When we attempt to identify the date of the Exodus, we should be able to bring this time period into consideration. Within the book of Exodus specifically, chapter 1 verse 11 tells us that the Israelites were put into forced labor in the construction of two store cities, Pithom and Ramses. Though this does not give a date specifically, it does present two cities we can identify in the historical record. Presumably, if we can locate the time Pithom and Ramses were in existence, we can extrapolate that time period to the events of the Exodus. There are plenty of other passages of Scripture that we need to bring into the discussion in order to properly interpret and harmonize these passages, and we will seek to do so in the next video when we compare the different dates proposed for the Exodus. However, these are the core verses upon which each proposal is built. Please subscribe and click the notification bell so that you will be notified when I release the upcoming videos in this series. For further reading on this subject, I recommend The Oxford History of Ancient Egypt by Ian Shaw and The Complete Royal Families of Ancient Egypt by Aidan Dodson and Diane Hilton. You will find links to each of these books in the description.